Assalamu alaikum, my friends, and welcome back to another What's Going On from Tales from the Road. Today, I'm in the beautiful capital city of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, Amman. I'm high up in a citadel overlooking this very hilly city. I spent the last 9 days traveling from the south all the way back up to the north, and I'm ready to give my report and explore Amman with you guys. It's a very unique country. It's more touristy too than I expected, but a beautiful country nonetheless. So, if you want to know what's going on in Amman, Jordan in the year 2023 during Ramadan, this is the video for you. Let's do it, yalla. Normally I don't recap a whole adventure in this series, but Jordan is so unique I wanted to highlight some of my journey. Getting off the plane, I took a bus from Amman to Aqaba, 4 hours to the south on the Red Sea. This was my launching point for my Jordan rural adventures. I went to Wadi Rum, aka the Moon Valley, for some Bedouin experiences, good tea, epic views, and of course camels. Adorning my al-Kufiyya, I felt ready to tackle this country. Next up, I headed to a rainy and mysteriously cloudy Petra, full of wonder and of course full of tourists. It's a must-see and one of the craziest places I've ever been. A real wonder of the world, and a place you definitely need to check out at least once in your life. A few short day trips included Madaba and Mount Nebo, a Christian hotspot in an otherwise Islamic country, with some really deep-seated biblical roots. I mean, it's the place that Moses said he saw the Holy Land from. It's crazy. And onto the north of Amman, I was able to see some of the best Roman ruins I've ever had a chance of visiting in Jerash. This country is really full of wonder, so let's get back to Amman and talk about what's going on. So now we're back here in the capital city, and I think this city's great because you can just see the history everywhere. You can see the views. So from this side where I'm standing, we can see the heart of the old city, which is this old Roman amphitheater, which is right in the middle of the hills of this beautiful old Arab Hashemite kingdom. It's really interesting because you can see them using this not as a tourist site today only, but even last night they had a Ramadan festival. They were playing very loud music, they had lights, all the mosques were lit up in green, and it's so unique that you have this ancient stadium that's still in use in 2023. We're talking about 1,500 years of use. So let's go check out that stadium more. So here we are in the old amphitheater of what the Romans used to call this city, Philadelphia. Just like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city of brotherly love. So they do say in history, all the world is a stage. And that's pretty true because everywhere you go, the Romans, the Greeks, and pretty much every subsequent empire after that built theaters everywhere they went. So here you can see why they built it here. There's a high side on this side, there's a high side on this side, and there's this little rift valley in the middle as Jordan sits between some serious tectonic plates. And this theater is put here nearly 1,500 years ago. And the cool part is people still use these old stone bleachers to watch some stuff. So down here they actually have a Ramadan festival kind of banner, Jordanian flag, moon, some lights. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to tell you guys now a little bit more about the Roman times and the subsequent history after that at this beautiful citadel up here. So now we're up here, and I would say this citadel, you get a really good idea of why the Romans thought it was so important. So here you can see the amphitheater that we were just at, and this temple that sits high upon the old city of Philadelphia that was a center of Roman ideology, Roman religion, Roman art, Roman music for a long period of time. But those periods of time in history do end. And here we can see the downfall of Philadelphia and the Arab uprising of the Umayyad and various Arabic caliphates that came thereafter. Let's go take a look. For me, I think what's hard for a lot of travelers and a lot of people in general is to grasp that countries' identities and the people in them change over time. So the Greeks were here. You You can find Greek writing, you can find Aramaic writing from the Nabateans who were writing in their own language in cuneiform. You can find Roman writings, you know, which we would consider European for today's standards, but the Romans really were everywhere. And then things change. Different religions change, history changes, and you get new and interesting peoples and cultures popping up and redefining an area which for 1,000 years has been one way. So if we walk this way, we can see a mosque built by the Umayyads, which were one of the first Arabic dynasties or caliphates to take over much of the Levant and the Arabian Peninsula area. If you come to Jordan, or you come to the Middle East, or North Africa, or the Balkans, you can't sleep on the fact that the Arab caliphates colonized, in a way, this area, as there were no Arabs here in the same sort of sense, you know, in the BC times, and even the early AD times. It wasn't until the Roman Empire really crumbled that the Arabs came in and reestablished this land as the caliphate, led by the one true king, the caliph, who was literally a religious figure as well, and the kind of speaker of Allah, the God in Islam. So here, same place. Obviously the Romans thought it was a good idea. So did the Arabs. They thought, let's put a mosque up here because it's the highest point and we need to pay homage to our one true God. You know, they always like it being as close to the sky as possible. Wow, I almost slipped and died right there. And here, of course, a water well. And then I think the most important part is that you can come up here and you can see the remnants of what started as an Arab caliphate that transitioned through all these different Arabs, that transitioned through the Ottomanization of this area for like 500 years, maybe a little bit shorter. Still Muslim, but different. And then now here you go, the modern city of Amman. Much hillier, very brown. Reminds me a little bit of Jerusalem that I've been to in the past. And the large Arab national flag that they have there, which has the same colors that you find on many Arab national flags that came out of the Pan-Arabian movement at the fall of the Ottoman Empire, and especially at the fall of the British occupation of a lot of this area in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Today, Jordan is a kingdom, and I'm going to see if I can find a picture of the king to explain a little bit more. As you slowly walk into the city, you will find pictures of Abdullah II, the Hashemite king of Jordan, basically everywhere. And you see pictures like this. Now I can't read Arabic, I can sound it out because I taught myself how to read recently, but it doesn't mean anything to me. But what's interesting is they have kind of this mix between New Jordan with the suits and Old Jordan with the they call it an al-Kufiya, which is a old, basically, you know, Bedouin and Arabian style that serves both to protect people from the harsh sun, to cover their face, just like this, if from the desert sand, but also as a prayer cap, as Islamic men typically wear something on their head when they pray. This guy behind me is apparently the 41st generation direct descendant from Muhammad. So he is what we would call a caliph, a direct descendant of Muhammad. And they say his direct descent is the great-great-grandfather of the Prophet. So his family came to power in the early 1920s after being basically a vassal of the Ottomans. The Ottomans let the Arab rulers stay in power as long as they sort of played along. So they played along, and since the 20s, they've been the caliph of the Hejaz, which used to include Iraq, parts of Syria. Those rulers were overthrown, but the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan still reigns supreme, and this is one of the only kingdoms of the Middle East. A lot of the other ones are sheikdoms. I'm not sure exactly what the difference is. And then there's also emirs, like what they have in the United Arab Emirates, the joining of the emirs. So there's that. So now we're going to walk into central Amman. Gonna look at a little bit of the culture and tell you about life here in the capital of Jordan. So guys, it's Ramadan. It was a tough time to come because it really affects what you can do during the day. So what you'll notice in Ramadan is that if you want falafel and sandwiches, it's closed. During Ramadan, it seems like in this country, people are working half. So people who are selling certain things are open. Maybe they're selling clothes, maybe they're selling, you know, shoes, whatever, seem to be open. But if you're a restaurant, that may look open, but it's closed. And the only place you can really eat here if you come as a tourist in Ramadan is the touristy areas during the day, because they obviously know that there's all these tourists that want to eat. But if you just want to eat at a normal local place, it's not going to happen. But if you go to this major street, it does look kind of busy, but really it's quite quiet in comparison to probably how it normally would be, because at night, which you'll see later in the video, it is busy, busy, busy. Say hi to King Abdullah one more time. So as we enter into the main souk here in central Amman, let's talk about safety. Is Jordan a safe country? Because people always say, you know, you gotta be wary of the Middle East. There's this big American stereotype that the Middle East is a dangerous place. And I can say wholeheartedly that Jordan is filled with some of the nicest people that I've met on my travels. Like, all of the Jordanian people are incredibly friendly, incredibly nice, incredibly willing to share different things with you. And I haven't felt sketched out even one time. Of course, I'm not a woman, so it definitely depends probably, you know? Depends on you. I know there's a lot of staring happening with the females that I've been traveling with while I'm here, but in general, I felt very safe, very welcome, and very happy in the Kingdom of Jordan. And I've been to 6, 7 different cities in this beautiful country. So it seems like during Ramadan, people come to the market and all the sweet stands are open. A lot of the food places, like fast food places, are open, but people are just buying things for later. So while it probably is way more aggressive normally, it's a lot more chilled out during the day. But they really have like a lot of different things that you can buy, like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful produce, big radishes, crazy melons, crazy melons. And you can really see the abundance of the great types of food here that they have in the Levant. I think it's obviously strawberry season, because you get crazy, crazy big strawberries, beautiful strawberries. And then just like a great vibe, great vibe. The next question we always ask is Jordan cheap? And the answer is no and yes. It's a double-edged sword here. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? So basically, Jordan, if you're in the tourist zones, is very expensive. They have a pinned currency to the US dollar, which is 1.4 US dollars to 1 Jordanian dinar. So your like value, your purchasing power as an American is actually pretty bad here. And so it can add up really quickly. One thing that's weird here is that they use the Arabic numerals. I mean, it makes sense in the context that we're in an Arabic-speaking country, but so it's really hard to determine how much things are unless you learn how to read what this is. I know this is a 5, this is not a 0. This thing, I have no idea. So the thing is, if you come here, you come to where the locals go, you eat where the locals eat, you do all that stuff, then Jordan is really cheap. It's like kind of like a dual economy. There's the fact that Jordanians make an average of about 800 US dollars per month, probably less. Mixed in the fact that the tourist areas are really overpriced. There's a huge tourism drive, especially for Petra and other places like that, which makes sort of like you can have a lunch for $2, but you can also have a lunch for $20. It just really depends like where you're at, where you're buying, and what you're doing there. So it's a confusing one. I think for me, this is where the Middle East really shines. All the different sorts of nuts. Salam? No, shukran, shukran. All the different kinds of nuts. All the different kinds of snacks. Look at this, bowls and bowls and bowls of snacks. Different cookies. These are all things to break the Ramadan, the iftar fast. So you have like little cakes, little sweets to get you through the day. The first thing they eat for iftar is normally a date. So they have different kinds of dates which come off the date palm. Different kinds of nuts. I mean, it's beautiful. Inside they normally have spices. It's really vibrant and fantastic. I wouldn't have guessed that they had so much fish here in Amman because it's not located next to the sea, but you're close to the Dead Sea. And then what's happening now is, because it's Ramadan, the city is like singing all the time. It's mumbling, it's chanting the Quran, and it's so particular. I've never really been in a place during Ramadan, but the city is so loud all the time, and it really makes for like a very unique and very beautiful travel experience if you're ever coming to this part of the world. So while all these sweets and all this food looks really good, no one's eating it now, and neither will I. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna come back around 9 p.m. after iftar. I'm gonna show you Jordanian street nightlife here in Amman. We're gonna try some food and finish this video. So, welcome to the rooftop of the hostel that I'm staying at. This is the Citadel that we were just at. And the sun is setting. And what the setting sun means for the population of Amman means it's almost time for dinner. So as the sun sets over the Citadel and this beautiful, beautiful city that just really shines with the sunset, it means that thousands and thousands and thousands of people are rushing to do their iftar. Iftar is the breaking of the fast during the Ramadan month. Iftar also means something like breakfast in Arabic, is what I was told, because it's the first time that they're eating all day, or the first time that they've eaten since 7 a.m., since before the sun came up. So what will happen here in about, I don't know, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, is that the city will start to sing the last call to prayer of the day will ring through, and people in the masses will get down this major street and invade the restaurants, which all open at 7. Right now it's 6:50. So we're gonna go down there and we're gonna see how it all plays out. The people at this shawarma place are getting ready to go. People sitting, ready to eat, ready to eat. You can see here, they're preparing everything in advance, so people are ready to go right when it happens. The shawarma guys. Shukran, happy Ramadan. And this is my favorite thing, the streaming sabnane ayran. So the mad dash for eating is on down here. The interesting thing is everybody has food, but nobody is eating yet because they're waiting for the last prayer of the day. And there's this really famous falafel place over here on the right called Hashem. And you can see everybody is just ready to go, ready and waiting. But nobody is getting in there yet. Nobody's getting in there yet, and I respect it. I respect the grind. Even the foreigners seem to be waiting, which is respectable. This place, look at all these people. Everyone's trying to eat. Everybody here trying to eat. For me, one of the most interesting parts about being in a country where the customs are different are just seeing how people respect the rules versus how people don't respect the rules in other places. So here it's like, don't eat until you hear the prayer. No one's eating. So the happy sounds of the last call to prayer of the day is telling the people of Amman it's time to eat. I see people tucking in over here. Everybody's ready. It's game time. So the traditional sweet of Ramadan is called atayef. It's shaped in the crescent moon shape, as is many Islamic things. It's like a pancake and they stuff it with cheese, top it with pistachios. So to all my Muslim friends out there, I say happy Ramadan. It was very interesting being in a country that is so Islamic for such a event, such an Islamic holiday, and trying to experience it as a local and as a tourist. So it's been fun. If you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum. Jordanian food is so good.